thank you. Senator Boozman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you again for being here with us today. Rice farmers and some of our specialty crop growers may lose hundreds of millions of dollars this year due to increased input cost. And unlike almost every other commodity, they have stagnant prices. They simply haven't increased while we've had this enormous increase, as we all know, with our input cost. I'm worried about the future of our domestic rice production infrastructure it supports, again, and concerned about our specialty crops. Will you commit to working with us to ensure that economic viability of our domestic rice producers and others like specialty crop growers who may be experiencing similar difficulties?
Senator, I hope all of your questions are this easy to answer. Yes.
Well, I hope all of your answers are like that, and we get a yes out of them. So thank you very much. Let me talk to you a little bit about the Conservation Reserve Program, and I think all of us appreciate the fact that you're being flexible in that regard, and that's a good thing. I don't think we really understand, and I know this committee, I think I can speak for Senator Stabenow, we're very concerned about what we don't want to do is get ourselves in a situation like baby formula with shortages. And I don't think we really understand yet, what's happening exactly, the difficulties in Ukraine, all of the stuff that's going on right now to really understand where we're going to be at. So I guess what I would ask you is in regard to allowing CRP contract holders to leave the program early, to open up even more acreage. This is something that's been done in the past. Can we just work really hard to get some good data to know, if we need to be doing some of those things, tinkering on the edges there, you have a little bit. But again, what we don't want is significant shortages perhaps, but also, again, looking at the inflation, what we project it going further. Americans now, and I just got through a primary campaign, I can tell you as well as anybody, people of Arkansas, people throughout the country are just getting strapped. All of their discretionary dollars are being eaten up by gasoline, food, rent, the list goes on and on.
Well, I'd say a couple of things. First of all, we have basically taken a look at the acres that are currently in that program. And many, if not most of those acres are really not very productive. I mean, it's not as if we're taking a significant amount of productive land out of production. We basically have been focusing on highly erodible areas that are not particularly productive. Having said that, we also trust farmers to make the right decision for their own operation. And in fact, farmers have actually made the decision to actually take about 1 million acres or so, maybe a little bit more than 1 million acres out of the program this year. We have not created additional incentives to try to encourage more sign-up. We're well below the cap in this program. And frankly, we've got two challenges here. We've got a global food security challenge today that you've addressed in part, but we also have a longer-term global food security challenge in terms of climate and the impact on production internationally long-term. And we're trying to make sure that we're paying attention to both of these. And I think we will provide additional flexibilities when and if it's necessary, and we have done that in the past with haying and grazing. And we'll continue to look for ways in which we can provide assistance. But right now, more than 1 million acres coming out of that program into production. We think that farmers can be trusted to make the right decisions. And they always have the right, as you know, to be able to leave the program whenever they so choose.
Thank you. I understand USDA plans to release a proposed rule to tighten nutrition standards this fall. I guess the question is, will USDA enforce those standards in schools? We've got a situation there where, again, they're fighting the inflation cost, labor cost, and then also just the price of these, because they are in a situation where many of these are specialty products that aren't made as much and not as profitable. Are you confident that schools will have access to food that will meet the USDA's new standards? And have we done any work in really looking at what that's going to do towards increasing cost and availability?
This is an interim rule. Senator. It's not a full application of the nutrition standards. It's a bridge, if you will, to a longer-term recommitment to the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids standards. We obviously, at the time we proposed this, were hopeful, and I guess I continue to be hopeful that the Congress finds a way to provide the resources to schools with universal free meals for another year, and the additional waiver authority that we had that will expire at the end of, I think, June of this year. In the meantime, if that does not happen, we have in the past and will continue to look for ways in which we can provide assistance to schools. We did $1 billion of additional financial assistance to schools. We provided additional resources for local and regional food purchases, which we strongly support in an effort to try to help schools manage through this difficult time. We're going to do everything we can to make it easier for these folks. They do heroic efforts and certainly did heroic efforts during the pandemic.
So we're not going to tighten the standards?
Well, the standards, there's an increase, but it's not a full-throated increase in terms of the whole grains standard. I think the sodium standard stays where it is. This is, as I say, it's a gradual effort to try to ultimately, over the next couple of years, get back to where we were prior to the pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.